Hey everyone, how are you doing? It's Monday somewhere. So I think maybe somewhere it's not. Who knows? Well, how are you? Trust you're doing good on this fabulous day. I was just chuckling as I was coming in live. I said, wow, there's already one thumbs down, and I didn't even say a word. Well, when you get into a subject like this, you just have to put the big boy britches on. That's all I got to say. Just want to welcome everyone. Thank you, moderators. All of you good folks, Caroline, Gary, I think I seen Warrior Queen in here as well. Welcome everyone in here. Butterfly Kisses, Divine Goddess. Far out. Love the handle. Starseed, how are you? Lost in space? We always are. Snowing there, is it? Good. Is that Jacqueline? Jacqueline? Okay, yeah, Jacqueline. Barry, good to see you. Brad, far out dude. Hey, Kato 9, good to see you as well. Heidi and Robert. Well, this is going to be fun. We're in territory that the old idiom so well applies here. We are treading where angels dare not. So that's kind of cool. Give me 1 second, folks. Yeah. I hate to do that. I got like 4 different lines coming in here, and sometimes it just happens. So anyway, we're talking about things that, well, you ain't supposed to be talking about. Because anyone who begins to look into this subject matter begins to find out very quickly that there is how shall I say, a standard line that is to be touted. You follow that line, you follow the narrative. And is that Raphael? Hello, how are you doing? Zara, how you doing? Welcome, by the way, from all you folks all over the planet. It's good to see you. Man, there's just so many in here. So let's get right to it, because this is a subject that I've taken very seriously for a long time, and I'll tell you why. Most of all, because well, give me 1 second. Here's the problem I have at this point in my ascension, is that I have lived in a reality that has always been of the masculine, patriarchal, primarily monotheistic. But yet, the life that I live in shows me it's just the opposite. So what's going on here, right? So let's get into, this is a document, by the way. I have these on PDFs, and if you want them, just email. Let's get into this, because this is the Talmudic Lilith. The information about Lilith contained in the Talmud and the Midrashim of the Talmudic period is meager, and it is meager. It's biased. Oh, hell, let's just be honest. It's just outright racist and sexist. Yeah, it is. One passage states that she had wings, another that she had long hair. On this bias, Rabbi, I believe that is Shalomo, and I think it's Ishak. Don't ask me how to do it. I don't, that's it. Anyway, the medieval Talmud commentator, 1040 to 1105 AD, concluded that Lilith, the masculine plural of Lili, whose feminine singular is Lilith, had human form, except that they have wings. Okay, this almost is like this is a species. In contrast to the demons, who have completely human form and eat and drink like humans, and do the spirits who have neither body nor form. Now, this is something that's very important here, because the question has been asked of me, do I really believe that Lilith is an actual entity? My opinion is yes. I happen to think that somewhere started with something. We all came from that. Either we came from the Petri dish. So this is very interesting how Rabbi, and I got that one, Shlomo, puts it. All right. And thus appears that as far as her overall appearance was concerned, Lilith looked very much like a cherubim. This detail will become significant in connection with the Zoharic myth about the relationship of Lilith and the cherubims. Somewhat more is known about the life history of Lilith and her nefarious activities as they were imagined in the Talmudic period. Lilith, we learn, was Adam's first wife. However, Adam and Lilith could find no happiness together, not even understanding. When Adam wished to lie with her, Lilith demurred. "Why should I lie beneath you?" she asked. "Well, when I am your equal, since both of us were created from dust." When Lilith saw that Adam was determined to overpower her, she uttered the magic name of God. Oh, folks, this is so freaking deep. You're not even, you forget about trying to see where the rabbit hole goes. We're in the wormhole. Rose into the air and flew away to the Red Sea, a place of ill repute, full of lascivious demons. There, Lilith engaged in unbridled promiscuity. She was a slut, a whore. Oh, I could just go on. A Jezebel, a harlot. Yeah, and bore a demonic brood of more than 100 a day. God, however, sent after her 3 angels, Senoi, I think that is Sensenoi, and who knows, Simagloth by name, who soon located her in the same wild waters in which the Egyptians were to drown in the days of the Exodus. Well, we know what happened to those poor cats. The angels told her God's message, but she refused to return. When they threatened her with drowning her in the sea, she argued, "Let me be, for I was created in order to weaken the babies. If it is a male, I have power over him from the moment of his birth until the 8th day of his life, when he is circumcised and thereby protected." Can you tell a little bias to this? You know, it's the one joke I heard about Abraham when he went up on the mount with Isaac. Now, Isaac, of course, was 37, so get it in context. No, excuse me, this is before Isaac. Anyway, Abraham goes up, makes his deal with this Yahweh character and comes down. And of course, Abraham had to be circumcised. And as all did his male servants and all those male in his household. So here is Abraham sitting down with all the male servants, and he's telling them about all the benefits, you know. And he says, but there is this one small condition. And the chief steward, you would say, said, well, what is it? He says, well, you have to get the head of what you know cut off. Circumcised is what we call it. And that's when all the staff stood up and said, your mama. Anyway, I digress. So here you go. You had to be circumcised. All right. And if a girl, until the 20th day. The angels, however, insisted, and she, in order to make them desist, swore to them in the name of God, whenever I shall see you or your names or your images on an amulet, I shall do no harm to the child. Moreover, she gave her consent to the death of 100 of her own children day after day, which is the reason that many demons die every day. This agreement between the three angels and Lilith is the basis for writing the names Sensoi, Sensationoi, and I think that's Majah Aloth on amulets hung around the necks of newborn babies. When Lilith sees the name, she remembers her oath and leaves the child alone. However, in spite of her determined refusal to return to Adam, Lilith soon became again attracted to him and managed to sleep with him against his will. In the meantime, Adam had received Eve as his wife, was persuaded by her to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge. What was it? What? So, okay. Here's this tree of knowledge again, and was expelled from the Garden of Eden with the curse of death hanging over his head. So, point of contention, and we're going to discuss this in length because this is where the story begins to unwind. You know, it's like a bad tapestry. You know, it's fraying at the ends. The tree of knowledge, do you see any connotation on tree? I don't. Knowledge, is there anything that says this is sub-knowledge, this is good knowledge, this is bad knowledge? No, I think it says the tree of knowledge, and I think it further in certain scripts say, you know, good and evil. But it's all knowledge. Is there a different knowledge that you would say that God has than all knowledge? So let me just get this right. So we get the story here that Adam, that promiscuous thing, excuse me, it was against his will. I didn't know her. I swear. You know, I thought it was a wet dream. Anyway, that's going to come in later. We'll see where that comes into play. But the knowledge. So apparently either Lilith never did eat of the tree of knowledge, or she did, and she had all knowledge, or she didn't, but Eve did, and Eve had all knowledge. And I guess then Eve, being who I guess they say she was, gave it to Adam. And he said again, I didn't know anything, the woman, you know. So this is the that goes into the whole thing, and we won't get into that. You know, we got other things in which to take a look at. So now let's get into, give me 1 second. I'm doing several things here at the same time, as you can imagine. That is the standard narrative that we have. And you can see how from that document back 1100 AD, by the way, in the future here, we're going to get into the year 1200. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in our history that got blotted out. So now you know the story, at least from that rabbi's perspective. And hey, listen, they had documents that, well, if you look at the two great purgings, Alexandria and Constantinople, and if you look at those two purgings and what it did to sapiens through our knowledge, bad mojo all over it. But what I want to say, and this is commentary for that what we just read, it's highly biased. I mean, it degrades the feminine across the board, and leaves a whole lot of, well, where the hell is this place down south, you know, that all these spirits were at? Lasciviousness. Do you know what that means? Well, that means indulging in those passions, baby. you know, like what stays in Vegas? Well, what stays in the South, baby, you know. And then it just completely just obliterates any credibility of the witness. Lilith says that she was just a slut, you know? She was spreading her legs and taking as much as she could get in. I mean, seriously. But this is interesting. So I have yet, and like I said, I have all of these on PDFs if you so desire. So this one is the Legend of Lilith, the origins of evil and the fall of man. And as you can see, this is yet, and this is by Rabbi Edward Neidl. He continues to bring the story out as to the history of Lilith and how Lilith is directly responsible for all this mess. And it's deep. It gets very deep. I just want to let you know that I have this, and that is, and give me 1 second as he pulls up the one he was really looking for, which is this one. So give me the Sakatea. There we go. So this is really an interesting one on Lilith. It gets into the Hebrew, but then, you know, the Hebrews don't own the story. I mean, we now know, I'll guarantee you that the rabbi in 1100 did not know that one day mankind would discover a thing called the tablets in modern day Iran that, well, predated them by nearly 1,500 years. So they can't have all of the knowledge, is my point here, ladies and gentlemen. The vast majority of what you will read is, again, taken from a narrative to support a theology, a dogma, a mindset. King James, you know, gets into the whole thing with, and isn't it odd? You know, I have it right here, by the way, the demonology of King James. You know, it seems like he was all over this. So in this document here, it actually is more accurate because it brings out where Lilith comes from. And it begins to show as well, and I'm sorry that this is in German. There is another one I have that is not in German. And if you want to learn how to read German, this is a good example. But in any case, it goes back and shows how Lilith has been well known amongst the sages, amongst those who, well, give me 1 second here. There we go. They knew that the story was not what was being touted. If you look at Lilith in the way that she is painted as this demiurge, this demon goddess, enemy of mankind, of Adam, no, it's not right, folks. I have a different story of which I put together for our discussions today. This was part of the Bloodline Invader series. Give me 1 second. Thank you. Lilith, goddess or demon? This is a drawing of what Lilith apparently was revealed out. So here's some questions. Why has she been removed? You won't find her in the modern day Bible. You find, if there is references of her, well, the name has been changed, been altered. Kind of almost like the Moses myth, you know? His name was removed from every building and from every record. Sounds familiar, huh? And why was she been vilified? I mean, everything that they accuse Lilith of, the males have done. Well, there's an imbalance right there from the get-go. So the Elohim, they play a role in this, because if you follow the narrative, the Elohim are at really the center of this. And one Elohim in particular. And the question that has to be asked, holy? By the time this is over, you will have reason to question that. So this is the concept of the council. This is the Council of 24, which was taken from the Council of 12. Those are the supposed angels. This is the chief Elohim, Yahweh. Or so that's how he imagines himself. But here is the thing about the Elohim, folks. They murder humans without second thought. They have blood on their hands. And I'm going to show you just how much blood, even the Christian God, all of the religion gods, if they are in fact the Elohim, then they're murderers. I mean, we're talking about our species here. This is not just a story about Lilith. It's about, as you saw, she laid with Adam. You get later into the story, and it gets even weirder. But what it also shows, in a different point of view, another intrusion into our genus of our species. So you've already seen the Hebrew tradition. All things, both evil and good, came from the hand of God. The Satan then represented God's destructive agency. And I've shown you where that is. You can find that in the Zohar that breaks down the Torah. Again, it's a kind of a prosecuting attorney appointed by God, Yahweh, who watched for those who did not obey the law so that he could accuse and punish them on God's behalf. In this way, the adversary was not evil per se. He just fulfilled God's destructive will. The Satan, therefore, came to be known as the accuser. In those days, the Satan was not the wicked demonic idea of a being that it is now. Those conceptual demonic entities were more along the lines of gods such as the Baal, and Moloch, and other malevolent pagan deities to whom people participated in bizarre rituals and human sacrifice. This included animal slaughtering, drinking of blood, and eating human flesh. During all this time, the serpent of Genesis was not yet equated to a Satan. It was considered wisdom. Now, this is the indictment against this God, the one that supposedly created Eve and Adam, the one that, this is what he accuses Lucifer of. This is the one that he accuses all the evil of, but yet he's the one, the greatest offenders. So let's just go walk through this. This is important because it plays a role in Lilith. Genesis 6:6, the account of God saying that he will murder all life because of his very actions. He's responsible for this. But yet he wants to take the position that Oh, I've got nothing to do with this, man. It was his failing, not Homo sapiens. In fact, it was the Elohims themselves who corrupted Homo sapiens sapiens. That's the whole problem with the Watchers. These cats. The Book of Giants. These are Elohims that came down and corrupted us. And they want to accept no responsibility. But yet, according to the story, this Yahweh Elohim, he's about to commit mass genocide. Says he's righteous in it. Genesis 11:6, because of this intrusion, it resulted in the deaths of millions of Homo sapiens sapiens. Genesis 14, here we have murder. Killing is now widespread. Even Abram was a killer of the sapiens because of the command of Yahweh. This is also the biggest oversight of the theologians, for in this passage, it gives clues to yet another greater and longer lived culture, the Sumerians, even for the garden metaphor. They couldn't explain this. They still can't today. Genesis 18:19, the mass murder of Sodom and Gomorrah by Yahweh. Genesis 20, we're studying with a different set of eyes. Check it out now. Genesis 21, clear that the God of the Jews is the same God of Islam. Genesis 22, human sacrifice of Isaac. Genesis 25, God hates Esau before he was born. Yahweh hates God, a child before he's not even born. But yet we are condemned if you hate your brother. Gets deeper. Exodus 4:24, God met Moses and sought to kill him. Today, if you did that and the cops caught you, you're going to get charged for attempted murder, conspiracy. Exodus 7, Moses is made to be God. Now, this is where the story gets so freaking weird, because if you see this once, you have to go back and say, well, is this a trait? I don't know if you know that, but in Exodus 7, Yahweh makes Moses a god. Exodus 8:13, chapter 8 and through 13, the plagues were the death of thousands of sapiens took place by the command of the Elohim Yahweh. Exodus 14, Yahweh murders more sapiens. Exodus 17, the murder of the Amuletic race. Exodus 20, this God reveals itself to its true nature. Verse 5, verse 13, you shall not commit murder, yet this God has already committed murder multiple times. Exodus 21, slavery is condoned, yet this God allows it and to flourish. Exodus 22, the approval of murdering a female. Exodus 24, the initiation of blood of an animal. Exodus 29, animal blood sacrificing. Exodus 30, the transference has taken place from one species to another, lesser species. Check it out. Exodus 32, how odd, this is not quoted more. God said to Moses, you go down for your people whom you brought out of Egypt. This Yahweh makes no claim of these people, but implies that Moses is the God. Check it out, folks. It gets weird. Another reference to Exodus 32, another reference to the nature of God. The Lord turned from his evil, which he had thought to do to his people. I mean, I'm reading to you their record, not mine. Exodus 32:27. Murder, killing is ordered by God, Yahweh, and 3,000 souls are killed. Exodus 33:2, God sends an angel to murder sapiens. Verse 3 and 5, God admits he still might murder all the Israelites. So now we've got these archangels, Gabriel, Michael, and who knows else, that have human blood on their hands. Murder. It's all it is. It's murder. You can't say murder is one thing, and just because you've got this deity, that murder is another. Now, this is what they accuse Lilith of. I just want to show you, I can't find that in their record, but this is what I do find in their record. Yeah, it gets deep, folks. God, again, this God states it is a jealous God. Number 16, verse 21. Here, God, again, this God has murder in its heart. Numbers 25, the Baal worship, 8 murdered by the high priest of Yahweh, and 24,000 people murdered by the plague of Yahweh. Exodus 28, more animal blood sacrificing commanded by Yahweh. Exodus 31, Elohim Yahweh gives his command to commit genocide against the Midianites. As it is written, go forth and execute the Lord's vengeance. They slew every male. Verse 15, Moses says, you have let the women live. Then Moses gave the command to kill every male and child. Every woman who had not slept with a man would now become a sex slave. This is rape. But the Elohim Yahweh allowed. Exodus 32, Elohim Yahweh goes against his sworn oath. Exodus 35, most revealing about the blood and what it does. I mean, folks, I can go on from here. The entire book of Joshua on forward with other books of the Old Testament that are filled with Homo sapiens, blood being shed and sacrificed on behalf and ordered of this Elohim who calls itself God. In all the scriptures researched, there is not one single reference to Lucifer or Lilith ever killing or murder of one single Homo sapien. Not one. In all of the scriptures researched, there is not one single reference to Lucifer or Lilith or Satan ever commanding the killing, genocide, or murder of one single Homo sapien. Not one. But yet Lilith is accused of that and much worse, if you can believe the story. What is being hid here from us? This is ancient before the Bible, but it's not in the Bible. Lilith. She had all knowledge. What's Yahweh hiding? Why? Why is she vilified? And if the story with Eve is correct, then this gets even stranger, folks. You've got mixed of DNA. I mean, you got genetics just all over the place here. Everywhere. It appears that Lilith may be the representation, or these other cultures adapted their feminine goddesses after Lilith. What we do know is that she does appear in some of the strangest drawings going way back. When we take the story, even in the modern vernacular of what most look today, it doesn't make sense. So here is the story according to Lilith. Adam and Lilith began to fight. She said, I will not lie below. Now, it's always interesting when you get into a study like this is, well, they were both virgins, right? They were both virgins. So I'm sure that this was trial and error. Who knows? I don't know. Had to have been awkward. Obviously it was. To which Adam said, I will not lie beneath you. but only on top. Okay. That's not working out, is it? Said the Holy One day, Adam, if she agrees to come back, fine. If not, she must permit 100 of her children to die every day. Now, isn't this odd? This is, well, a little different now, isn't it? Fine. I mean, it was like, all right, fine. That's what she's up to. All right, here. This is what the penalty is going to be. Yeah. Okay. She also agreed to have 100 of her children die every day. According to every day, 100 demons perish. And for the same reason, we write the angels' names on the amulets of young children. You see how the story continues to get twisted? But no doubt, it seems that she was there. She seems to be, I guess, the anger of every male dominant religion. And she yet seems to be the adornment of all the pagan religions. I wonder if there's a connection there. It is said that Lilith is, in fact, Lucifer. Well, that would have God's name in it, would it not? Samael? El? God is El? If we look for her in the genetic tree, she shows up. Seems like she was part of the Sumerian culture, but also seems like she is mentioned quite regularly in virtually every other mythos, religion, legend. Lilith, beautiful queen, consort of the gods. And there she is, right next to Enki. Isn't that odd? And then we see that from her, there's the birth of Cain and the birth of Seth. Whoa, now wait a minute. Where's Eve? What if there was no Eve? And here we see it again. We're going to see this book. There is a different story. And I think it's a little different. Now, this is where Lilith slept with Adam. It says, rarely Lilith's thoughts upon Adam have been recorded. He was a dark of skin and hair. I think you know that. Adam was not Caucasian. He was black. And physically perfect in every way as Lilith herself was. Her accounts of his personality vary. Sometimes she claims he was domineering, imperious, and selfish brat. Sometimes she calls him a stupid and dull, unable to comprehend that there was a world outside of Eden. Sometimes she implies that he was violent and abusive, deserving of hatred. And once in the darkness of the night, to the Sephra of destiny, she had seduced and murmured that turning her back on him was the hardest part of leaving Eden. I don't think so. But again, we have to take where most of the story comes, and it's from, the Judaic record. Adam's first wife who committed adultery before Eve. The story in the book of Adam and Eve, I did a video on that. Adam says to Eve, why should I have sex with you? Why I would be having sex with myself since you came from me. So this is implying that Lilith, oh my goodness, she was equal in fact to Adam? Again, female demon who lurks in desolate places. The night hag? Oh, yeah. Lilith believed she should not have helped Adam because they were equal. Lilith escaped with Satan and left Adam alone, and through seduction tried to get him back? What? So look at this. Even the black moon. The moon's elliptical orbit around the Earth is shown here. Every eclipse has 2 points of focus. Earth is one of them. The other point, which always aligns with the lunar apogee as seen from Earth, is the black moon, Lilith. So now you begin to see that this, what do you want to call her? Us? If Lilith exists, folks, she's a sapien. I mean, what would Adam be? I don't know. She had wings. Apparently, Adam didn't. It's really gets a little bizarre as you begin to see, well, who is the good guy? Who is the bad guy? And is Lucifer female? Is that who Lilith is? Don't know. Lilith tempting Adam and Eve. This is what Michelangelo saw it. This is in the Sistine Chapel. Here's in the Notre Dame Cathedral. Lilith tempting Adam and Eve. What? Let's stop and think about this, folks. Come on. So is the serpent in the cunningest of all beasts of the field, it says. That means it was the smartest, most knowledgeable. Could it be that the serpent is Lilith? But wait a minute. That means then if I go to Job and if I equate the serpent to Lilith, that means they changed it to Satan. That means Lilith was in the presence of God. But wait a minute. She couldn't have been in the presence of God because she was a female and it only said the sons of God. Well, if they're sons of God, then who's Mama God? Could Lilith be Mama God too? It says that she gave birth to demons. Well, wait a minute. What if the exact opposite is the case? Then that means that she gave birth to angels. I mean, folks, the story cannot be fragmented in the narrative the way that they present it. I mean, what are we talking about here? Is she, in fact, the female God? Could that be the case? Could Lilith have done something to us that prevented the Elohim from wiping us out? I'm just asking. And they try to come back and say, well, now, have you ever experienced sleep paralysis? Then you've been attacked by a succubus. Yes, the succubus is those who are of the demon seed that do the bidding of Lilith. And if you've ever had livid sex dreams, it was because of Lilith's handmaidens. Now, to give everyone full right here, they also have a homosexual side, the incubus. Wild, isn't it? Lilith is still here, folks. I don't think she ever left. I think that the story is that she has been the one, I think, that has paid the price. That's just my take on it. But it's very clear that the story is not what it quite shows to be. And the case that I laid out, I took it from the Bible, right here that I got right next to me. Everything that I took about the killing, the genocide, the rape, the infanticide, I can't find anywhere where Lucifer or Lilith ever did any of these things. And it really gets down to a real dilemma here. If you take the story that, let's say that there is a shred of foundation of truth to this legend, then it presents a very, very interesting further discussion. It would appear that Lilith may be something much more. It may be, in fact, what the Vatican has always tried to hide. That the God, the male God, Yahweh, is the imposter. Lilith never said that she would kill humans. She never came and said that she was jealous, wrathful, seeking vengeance. She never wiped the world out, if you believe the flood story. I don't know. I mean, how do you villainize someone that, number one, that there's no evidence to show that it is? I mean, it's just kind of like the craziness we saw with our Supreme Court nominee back then. Anyone can make up a story. You didn't have to have evidence. What if Lilith is the mother of humanity and not the Eve? And even if you take the story, it doesn't make sense. Why would Eve suddenly have all knowledge and yet be subjugated to Adam? I think we may have had another repeat of Lilith. I mean, men, let's just get our heads right where it is. The history, our history, has been dominated by the male factor. And ladies, I think you all will agree with this. It has been one freaked up mess. You get some hard dick guy in there who can't think anything but with his dick, and this is the problem we get. And that's the problem here. Someone just said we're all bastards. You know what, Lawrence? You make a good point. Someone's the bastard here. This is deep. If the Elohim exist, why are they only males? Have you asked yourself this? I've researched on the Elohims, what there's out there. If you're saying they're the Anunnaki, well, they're not saying that. But some people say that they are. Where's the females? It is so absent that this has got to be made up. Their story. A male God is the father of all creation, the Father God? Unless you can show me mama, it ain't no God. And if it kills, if it commands one drop of human blood to be spilt because of its name, in its name, or it's given the direct command, it's no God. It's a murderer. Show me where Lilith has done this. Show me where Lucifer has done this. I'm trying to get this figured out along with the rest of you. I got it figured out a little bit more, but for emphasis purposes here. Now, there is a book that you can get on, excuse me, on Kindle. It's an interesting story. It's The Soul of Lilith by Marie Corley. This is a good book. Unfortunately, I don't have it in a PDF form. If you have a Kindle, it's one that you can get. It is, well, it's the story of someone proposing exactly what I just said. That God is not male at all. That's the imposter. That he has imprisoned, subjugated Lilith, the true creator. A little bit weird, isn't it? I know. But it would answer a lot of questions in a lot of ways, wouldn't it? I mean, you think about this. The time I have seen where the female was the leader, the head of the government, they never seem to get into many wars. They seem to have this ability to have something that men cannot seem to muster. I don't know. So Lilith. I saw that 33. Yeah, exactly. It feels like you're almost on LSD, man. I mean, I was up at 3 o'clock this morning and couldn't sleep. So I started meditating. And the more I started meditating, the more I started really getting some insights here that, wait a minute. Why is it that we so readily accept as a species the absence of our feminine, the strongest side to our species, the givers of life? Absent. And when represented, always represented in a subjugated position. That doesn't make any sense. Always, it's the patriarchal point of view. Well, that's unbalanced. And so if it's unbalanced, that means that there's something wrong here. Lilith. I don't know if she exists. If she does, I'd give her a big hug. I mean, come on, folks. She's gotten the shaft on this all the way around. I don't see where anything is written where she's even allowed to defend herself unless it's from a male perspective, a male narrative. What if the true God is in fact feminine? And no mixture, no male or female, but female. I mean, people say, well, they're, gods are neither male or female. What are they, hermaphrodites? What? They got no sex organs? All the gods I keep on reading about seem to be some pretty horny. Yeah. Weird. Again, who taught Adam and Eve to have sex? Who went and gave them the manual? Was it Yahweh? How did he know? You get the idea that Yahweh is celibate? Bet you never asked yourself that, did you? And when you think about celibacy, even about the Christ message, I got one of the most interesting, folks, if you want to read a fascinating story, this is Pista and Sophia. Celibacy? Is that the way it is above and that is the way below? Is that the way it's in? Is that the way it's out? I don't know. It wouldn't seem right, would it? Lilith. So she's accused of, I guess, the mother of all demons. But it doesn't tell me, then why are they demons? I mean, what are they coming out to get Yahweh? I might join in that. I think that dude's got some answering to do to our species. I'm going to do a show on that. I mean, if anyone's harmed our species more, it would be the Elohim. They seem to be the source to this. And so if Lilith is, I wonder what would happen if we started giving her recognition. Maybe Lilith became part of Earth. I don't know. I know this, she seems to be the mother of all birth. Yes, that would be the story, it would seem, right? That's the implication, right? It's deep. I'm surprised I didn't get any more thumbs down than what's there, because a lot of people don't like hearing this. It goes so counter to what the Bible teaches. Because you see, with Lilith, you don't need a savior. What would the savior be saving you from? Unless the savior was sent from Lilith. Maybe Mary was the incarnate of Lilith. I mean, if the Hebrew God can do it, why couldn't another God? Changes the story, doesn't it? Folks, if you're going to come here, I'm going to make it worth your hour. I respect your time. And by the way, I just invoke favor in all of you today. Favor, favor, favor. Favor and full restoration. Restoration is knowledge. Restoration is freeing yourself. That you dare think about such things as this. Oh, this will get you branded as a heretic, but that's just a name. The thing is, you look at the world today, it ain't working. It's getting worse. And all I know is this, folks. Doesn't take a real long time that we're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and we're expecting a different result. If Lilith does exist, I would ask her to make her presence known within her children. Maybe collectively we could begin to figure this out. I don't think she's the demon goddess that has been so vividly painted. I think that she may have been very much maligned. All right, folks, tonight got the physicist and philosopher. I thank you for your time. It's special. And again, I have the PDFs on the 3 documents if you'd like to read them. You know, you're going to find what I have found, that there's very little written in favor of Lilith. Very little. And even if their story is correct, she was done a wrong that these gods will have to stay answered for. So, all right. Hey, y'all support Warrior Queen over her food pantry. I'm going to have her back on here in next couple of Friday nights. There you go, Lois, but you didn't know that. We'll do the healing thing, and we'll get people on here. Thank you, Mother Nature. Y'all are the best. Thank you. We'll continue to learn. Tomorrow, talking with the planets. I think that this is part of all this, folks. I really do. I don't think that we're just so haphazardly, meandering down here. I think we got a pretty straight path that's, well, it's different. I think different is good. Yeah, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't like the same old thing all the time. Different is good. Different can be challenging. But boy, what a thrill. All right, folks, you guys are the best. You ladies are the superior part of this equation. And let me just say to all of you women, I appreciate you all. I have a wife that has taught me so much. If we could just break beyond the biases that has been taught to us and begin to realize that it's not sex, it's not the image, it's not the makeup, it's the life force within every woman. And that's what we need. So there you go. All right. Appreciate you. See y'all later. Be good to yourselves. And if anything, be good at it, right? All right. Bye-bye, folks.